What is going on, everybody? College basketball, NCAA tournament 2023. We are here. Playing games started tonight. Um, really excited for this thing on Thursday. Kind of got some bad basketball there in the first half of that first playing game of the 16 seeds, and I, kind of turned that one off. But looks like we got a close one here between Mississippi State and Pittsburgh. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay here. Drop any questions that you have in the chat. I want this to be interactive. I'm going to mainly, of course, focus on the bracket talk tonight, go through our betting sheet a little bit and how that can help you both make brackets and, of course, getting some wagers in for your round one on Thursday and Friday, as well as talking about some leverage plays with your brackets. I'm going to incorporate that into the sheet. Had some requests there. Dobe and JB in the chat were both talking about that to me in DM. So been looking at some of that. I'm going to share something on the back end that I've been looking at, mixing some KenPom and ESPN rankings as far as how many people are being picked or teams are being picked at what rate and what rate KenPom has them winning at. See if we can find some leverage spots there for your brackets. So first off, want to talk about, general strategy for building brackets. It all depends. Each bracket's going to possibly have a different strategy attached to it, right? So you may have one bracket through your work pool or something that has 10, 15 people in it. In that one, much more casual, of course, audience that you're playing against. First off, I think it's fine, to pick some upsets early on, but you're going to want to get right and maybe even be a little bit more chalky as far as what you're going with. If you have a strong conviction about one of the 1 or 2 seeds, definitely have them, going a long way. But the main thing in those is getting the champion right. I mean, that's really the main thing in all of it. I mean, any contest, but you want to get a little more off the board if you're playing in something like the ESPN, Tourney Challenge or any other site that's doing it, even the $100 DK pool that has $1 million to first. You want to get a little bit off the board there. It's definitely different than if you're going up against 10 or 15 people where you could be a little bit more chalky. So, again, we'll talk about some leverage spots and things, but I want to zoom in here on the sheet. Let me do a little bit of zooming here so you guys can see. I had it zoomed out. This is free to everybody throughout the tournament, no matter if you're a Patreon member or not. So definitely hop in Discord, grab a copy of that. This will be updated daily. First off, as you can see, starting tomorrow, we had these for today, but now they're gone, of course, with the game started. But first 4, Wednesday, you've got Fairleigh Dickinson, Texas Southern there to start out, and Nevada and ASU to close out tomorrow night. What I'm looking at here, you've got Vegas info right beside it. You got the current DK sportsbook odds with spread and total, and then you've got what it opened at, and that was Sunday evening when I put those in there. So you can easily see how both the total and the spread has moved over time. Moving on out, you've got team records, home, away, in conference, and then just some specific team stats, offensive rating, points per game, their pace as opposed to the average of the country, what they do well. They shoot threes very well. Sometimes you can look for that in an underdog. Rebounds, assists, are they good inside, good on defense, steals and blocks. So definitely can get a good feel there. I would, maybe if you're targeting a total, maybe check out the pace there. And see if both teams are above average pace, and depending on what the total is, maybe you jam the over or something there, or the opposite. So that's one thing that you can do there with our sheet. If you look at the highlighted green teams here, that means that I'm on betting wise on those teams, whether it's spread or money line, and I have that summarized down at the bottom. So we'll get to those, but if I highlight the over under in column E, that means I'm on that over or under. But down at the bottom, I've got 5 bets currently up on the sheet right now. First one was Missouri +2, Arkansas -3, Tennessee -10.5, Texas A&M -3, and Auburn -1. So a lot of short favorites. Got one bigger favorite laying over 10 with Tennessee, and then one short dog there with Mizzou. All 1 unit to win 1 unit there. So I'll be tracking that throughout the tournament, and I can actually go ahead and update this to Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, and I'll make sure that starts feeding in correctly. But what I really want to do is, again, talk about brackets, talk about some leverage spots, talk about any questions that you all may have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift over to a different sheet here that I've been just recently tonight working on the back end to look at some leverage. Let's see here. All right. So what this does, again, is this is showing KenPom, what they have, as far as the prediction, their percent chance to win based on that prediction. Beside of that, in column E, you've got the ESPN, what rate they've been picked in the bracket challenge. And then you've got what the difference in those two numbers are. So the higher the number, obviously the more leverage, the higher chance they have to win per KenPom, and they're lower than that as far as what they're being picked. So what you're going to see a lot of is those two numbers being pretty close, especially in the tight games like Arkansas and West Virginia. Both of those are just over 50% chance to win. KenPom has a 1-point difference in those games, and both of those games are pretty much being coin flipped between all the public. If you look at a little different matchup there, I mentioned I was on the Missouri betting side, but if you look at the Utah State Missouri game, Utah State actually is a 62% chance to win, 83.79 per KenPom. That's a 62% chance. They're only being picked at 43. I think a lot of that is people are way underweight on the Mountain West. Understandable. They kind of, I think, got a few too many teams in myself, but that gives an 18% leverage. 19% leverage opportunity there as far as per KenPom, 62% chance to win, only being picked 43%. A lot of people are on that short dog there. I'm on it, again, betting wise, but I could see myself in, brackets. It's kind of like DFS lineups. If you're making a lot of lineups, mixing and matching some of these teams, but I could see that being a pretty big leverage. There's a few leverage spots by what KenPom has as favorites. The biggest two are actually both Mountain West teams. Boise State Northwestern is the other one, the 7-10 matchup there. That one is a 14% difference, 55% chance to win, 64-63 Boise over Northwestern. 41% of the public is picking Boise State there, so some nice leverage also on Boise State. Some also nice leverage on a lot of dogs, of course. So if you go to the right side here, column G, you've got the team that is underdog per KenPom. But if you look at this Duke Oral Roberts game, and I'm going to actually add a couple of bets here to the sheet as we're on the show, so definitely follow for that. Stay tuned here for just a bit until I get into that. But this is probably, spoiler alert, this is going to be one of them. I really like Oral Roberts here. We were on them a couple years ago when they knocked out Ohio State. First round, made that run. We were on them pretty much from the get-go. We were on the spread and money line that game. I think they can do so here. Duke is coming in hot. Everybody is hopping on Duke. 81% of the public is on Duke. They are only given a 63% chance to win per KenPom, 75-72. Give me Max Asmus and Oral Roberts here at an 18% leverage opportunity if you're looking at these numbers. So, what can Duke get beat by? They get beat by mid-majors quite a bit in the tournament. They are a young team. That is the reason for that, in my opinion. They're always a young team that takes a little bit of time to gel. They are doing that at the right time right now. But, any time that you bring experience from the tournament, Max Asmus, Juergens, some other guys that Oral Roberts has, I think that gives them a great opportunity to pull off this upset here against some youngsters for Duke. Moving on down, Furman and Virginia. This is another upset that I like. Not one that I'm going to be betting per se. I think, per KenPom 71-66 UVA, that's pretty much right in line with the spread currently. But it is one that I'm going to mix and match in some brackets. Furman, not the best matchup that they've got here, but they're being way undervalued by the public. Only 18% picking them, and KenPom giving them a 32% chance to win. So definitely liking that. A lot more down here at the bottom. Memphis and Florida Atlantic is another one. Florida Atlantic is a very good team. This is pretty much a toss-up per KenPom. Everybody is hopping on Memphis. What we're also going to look at here in just a bit, I'm going to go through each region and kind of give some overall thoughts. But one big thing that I want to do is look at the ESPN page that shows how many people are picking teams to go deeper in tournaments. And I've not honestly looked at that yet for Memphis, but I've heard tons of talk of Memphis knocking off Purdue in round number 2, coming off of that conference tournament. That is, believe it or not, probably going to be, a slight leverage back opportunity by picking Purdue in that game. I think they're, not that the majority are picking Memphis to win, but a bigger percentage than probably they should be given. And you can pretty much tell that already right here. FAU only given a 32% public picking, and this is a 49-51, toss-up game, 1-point game per KenPom. So that's a nice leverage opportunity, one of the bigger ones. And then you have Providence and Kentucky. This is one that I really do like. Providence, 13% leverage opportunity here in the brackets. And I think, Kentucky, again, another like Duke, one of those teams that is overall pretty young. They've, of course, got Oscar inside, but guard play is what you want in March. And Providence has that. They have, quite a few guards that they can filter through. They've been playing some great basketball, kind of unlucky in some of the games that they've been losing here lately. I think they can pull off this upset, and not even just this. I think they could also move on past round 2 into the Sweet 16. Drake and Miami. This is interesting because I've heard a lot of talk about Drake. The main thing that you want to watch out for here is Norchad Omier. I think, if he is in, I'm going to end up being on the Miami side. But if he is out, I think Drake is a very solid pick here. I think they're very live to knock this team off. I mentioned that I really like the guard play. Drake has that. Miami also has that. So this will be interesting to see. I mean, this is one of those teams all year that they've had a 3-man punch in the backcourt with Nigel Pack, Isaiah Wong, and Jordan Miller. So they can definitely get it done. But I do like Drake if Norchad Omier is out. Lastly, Kent State. Actually, there's a few more I want to briefly touch on, but Kent State is given a 37% chance to win per KenPom here. I think they could definitely knock off Indiana. This was one that I was on before I even pulled up this sheet. TJD is going to absolutely smash this game, and we're probably going to want him from a DFS perspective. But I think that other than that, this backcourt for Indiana just isn't there. I mean, they have Hood Schifino, but other than that, this team, I do not like guys like Miller Kopp playing massive minutes, of course, for this backcourt. I think they get knocked off early because of that, and Kent State could definitely do the trick here. 17% leverage opportunity. And then the last two are very similar. Slight leverage. This is one of those that if you're making one bracket in your main office pool or something, this is ones that I would stay away from picking. But you've got a 12% leverage opportunity on somebody like Montana State and UC Santa Barbara. I personally do not think they win. I could jump on the spread here on one of these two, but this is one of those, if you're making a lot of brackets in the ESPN pool, you're going up against so many people that maybe you mix in a few with these upsets, get the 3-14 upset, and be on your way. So, again, what I want to jump over, so that's kind of the leverage. I'm going to work on formatting and get that into the betting sheet. But that's what I'm looking at currently as far as some leverage opportunities in your brackets. Let me shift over to ESPN here, and we're going to look at specifically that Memphis pick that I was talking about. So this page here, and everybody can take a look at it, but it's on the tournament challenge, who picked whom currently. So you can kind of look and see who's picking these teams in the first round, second round, Sweet 16, Elite 8. So, of course, you've got Bama, 20% are picking them to win the national championship. If you're in a pool this big, don't pick likely, unless you just really like them. Don't pick Alabama probably, and don't pick Houston if you want the most leverage to win. Look at some of those teams that are 3% chance to win, under 10 at least, with Texas, UCLA, some of those teams. If you bank one of those winning, you're going to be setting so good. Whereas if you pick Bama, if they do win, you're going up against 20% of the field still. So what I wanted to look at was, again, a lot of people are picking Memphis to win that first game, and you've got that there at 68. But if you move over to round number 2, and this would more than likely, be against Purdue, Memphis is being picked at a 15% clip. And I want to see how that compares, to some other upsets. It looks to me like that is the biggest 8 seed in 8 or 9 in round number 2. Yeah, so they're right there with Michigan State, Memphis, A&M, and Missouri. A&M, Memphis, and Michigan State are kind of the biggest 7, 8 seeds to knock off 1s or 2s, but they are definitely the most picked to knock off a 1 in round 2. You've got Arkansas coming in at second on that list at 9.3 to knock off a 1 there. But I think that's just a little bit too overvalued. And you've even got Memphis being picked at 6.3 in the Sweet 16, 2.7 to go to the Final Four. I mean, come on. I really am not a fan of Purdue myself either. And I know they're coming in hot, but we've seen these teams get hot in their conference tournament. Virginia Tech last year won the ACC. Came in and lost round 1. I think it was Florida. Just, be careful. if you feel very strongly about it, go for it. But some of these teams, again, are just getting very overvalued as far as how much they're being picked to knock off these top teams. So you want to really be on the massive chalk 8, 9 seed to knock off a 1. Maybe not. Let me now switch over, and I'm going to create a new bracket. I actually don't even have one made yet, but I want to go through each. Actually, let me just do this on the sheet. I do have the bracket on our sheet here, new this year. and I will be updating this as we go. So if you look at, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. All right, so Alabama in the South region is what we're going to kind of look at first. I'm just going to kind of, maybe we'll even fill out a bracket here very quickly. But you've got Alabama. Of course, we're probably going to work on them moving ahead. Maryland, West Virginia is an interesting one. I think West Virginia matches up pretty well with Maryland here. I think they're a little bit tougher, to be honest, if that's such a thing. So I'm leaning toward the West Virginia side. Charleston and San Diego State. If you look back at, this is one that I figured would actually stand out the opposite way on the leverage. And if you look at it, San Diego State is given a 70% chance to win per KenPom. They are being picked at 68%. I would have expected this to actually be one of the leverage spots on a favorite. I've heard a lot of talk about College of Charleston. Maybe that is now went the other way with people talking about the leverage off of by just picking the favorite. I lean toward the San Diego State side myself. I think that could be one of those trendy 5-12 upset picks. And I think you lean towards the San Diego State side there. Virginia and Furman, I mentioned that one earlier. I really like that Furman upset pick for some leverage. Creighton and NC State. This is one that I've done, filled out a couple brackets just, for play, nothing that I've really saved yet. And this is one that I keep coming back to of where do I think this goes. So I like, the backcourt for NC State. I mentioned that I favor strong backcourts in March. And if you look at NC State, you've got Jarkel Joyner, Terquavian Smith. Really like that. But you've got Creighton as well, who is going to jam their starters, of course. But Baylor Shireman, Kalkbrenner inside. You've got Trey Alexander, Ryan Nimhard. They have a lot of guys that could get it done. I think I'm actually going to lean, though, towards NC State and go with that route. Let me make sure that this is not that I can get off of this here. Let me switch over to the ESPN bracket. I really don't want to mess up our I'm going to update this as teams are getting knocked out. All right, let me go back here. All right, so we've got we had kind of went through Bama, West Virginia, San Diego State, Furman, NC State. Baylor and Santa Barbara mentioned that this is, one of those that has some slight leverage. I still lean Baylor. I think they're very well coached. I think they, can get it done at least for a game or two in the tournament. Missouri and Utah State. This is one of those that I'm conflicted on for brackets. I'm on the Missouri side betting wise, but man, Utah State does have so much leverage. I think I'm going to lean toward my initial gut with Missouri and just kind of eat the chalk there. And then Arizona, I don't see them losing to Princeton, but they very well could, lose the next round. That is one of those. Let me check what Missouri is being picked to move on past Arizona, because I get the feeling that people are a little lower on Arizona. And again, these are not going to be big percentages that people are picking these upsets, but I think you could very well see a little bit higher than normal percentage on somebody like a Missouri. Let me see here. Who picked whom? Missouri is the 11% are picking them to knock off Arizona here. So, I think you can get away with that. Michigan State is actually being picked at 17% to knock off the two in theirs, and Texas A&M is getting picked at 15%, which is interesting to me. We'll get there in a bit. But Alabama, West Virginia, I don't see Alabama having much trouble with West Virginia. Furman and San Diego State, man, this is a tough matchup. If you look at it, Furman, San Diego State, very tough defensively. I'm going to give them the edge here slightly, make Furman the one-trick wonder. This next one, again, I could see NC State making a run. I will have, some brackets that have NC State making a run, whether it's the Sweet 16, Elite 8 even. I could see them getting hot here behind a Turk Smith and Joyner. I really could. Baylor has not been, overly impressive. 5-5 there against the top 25. I think that they have a lot of question marks with Key George, Flagler, Cryer. We'll see what they can do. I'm going to go ahead in our bracket here and pick NC State, and then I'm also going to pick Arizona. So you've got Bama and San Diego State. I give Bama the edge there. Bama is an interesting team. I think, Brandon Miller is so good, despite his off the court, question marks at this point. We won't get into that, but I do see them making a very good run. They've seen the emergence of Quinterly lately, who has really played a lot more minutes and played very well. So I think they're primed for a deep run. I really don't see many trip up spots, to be honest, early on. NC State, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to give them the Elite 8 run that I was talking about. We'll just make this bracket the NC State run, and then I'm going to have Bama going to the Final Four, knocking them off there. Moving over to the Midwest, we've got Houston. I like Auburn here against Iowa. I was going to see – I'm assuming that's pretty much being a toss-up. Yeah, 55% chance to win per KenPom. They're being picked at 52. I lean toward Auburn there. Joni Broom, really like him, have liked him for years in college. Mention this one here is pretty much going to come down to, for me, to Norchad Omier. Does Miami have him or do they not? I think he's very questionable here. I'm going to give Drake the upset for now. But again, this is one of those that I want to watch closer, maybe even up until what time is that game? Let me see. I'll just grab my phone, see what time that game is, because see if we have a chance to even see that, but anywhere close to lock of brackets. That's going to suck if we don't have that news, because that could pretty much change everything. I'll be loading that up as we keep going through here. Man, that is a really close one. If you all want to tune in to True TV, 8 minutes to go, 1-point game, Mississippi State up 1. So the Miami game is 7:30 on Friday night. Couldn't even be Thursday for us there. So, I would, if you're making multiple brackets in this thing, make some both ways, because if Omier plays, I like them to move on. They have the guard play that they can do this. And because of what I'm going to pick in this next game, Kent State, if Miami can get past Drake, they're going to be playing, I think, Kent State potentially. And if they're not, if they're playing Indiana, I think they could also make a run. Let me just go with Omier playing in this one. I think they could definitely make a run with their guard play. I think they beat whoever they play in round 2 if they make it there. I think it gives Omier a few more days if they can get there. Indiana don't like their backcourt. I think they get ate up by Isaiah Wong, Jordan Miller, Nigel Pack. So give Miami to move on. And then this is, in that second round game, going to be tough. We saw Houston over the weekend without Sasser get, not play very good. Lost to Memphis in the championship game of the conference, and now they would have to match up with either Iowa or Auburn. I mean, those are not easy matchups by any means. I think they do squeak by either one. But I wouldn't be shocked, if one of those teams knocked off Houston in the second round. The game going on right now that I mentioned, Mississippi State and Pitt, that game winner will play Iowa State. That is one that I don't have on the sheet yet. Let me check and see what percent are picking that one. Those are always interesting to me. Yeah, only 22% currently are picking that 11 seed, whoever wins that game, to beat. I've lost my spot. Iowa State. 77% are picking Iowa State. That is almost certainly going to be a leverage spot. I don't care who wins that game. I think, Iowa State, I don't personally believe in them that much. I'm going to pick whoever wins that game to move on at some expected solid leverage. Xavier and Kennesaw State, I think this one could be much closer than what people think. Xavier missing Fremantle. They've got, other injuries. They are going to jam their starters, kind of like Creighton. Kennesaw State's hot. They won their conference tournament. I think they're a scary team. Maybe in some lineups you make the Kennesaw State pick. But for here, I'm going to go with Xavier. If Xavier was fully healthy, I would probably like them to make a good run. Texas A&M, Penn State, this one's going to be an awesome game. We looked at some leverage there. A lot of people, I thought, for the second round at least, are picking A&M. It's 58% are picking them to knock off Penn State here, which is pretty much in line with the KenPom projection. I lean Texas A&M. I think they have something to prove here. It's a tough matchup. I mean, Wade Taylor versus Jalen Pickett. Who's going to get the best there? I lean toward A&M personally. And then Texas. I mentioned in chat, I really like Texas to make a great run here. If they can get by Texas A&M or Penn State, I think they can cruise to the Elite Eight by knocking off either Xavier or whoever they would play here. And then here, Houston and Texas or whoever that ends up being, I like Texas to go to the Final Four out of this bracket, or out of this region. All right. So let's move on. I'm going to do the West. Kansas, Howard. Of course, I'm going to go Kansas. Arkansas and Illinois is an interesting one to me. I like the Arkansas side. That was one I jumped on pretty early. Did not get the best of the number. We'll just say that. I took at -3. It is now, I think, -1.5. I still stick by my take in that I think Arkansas wins. St. Mary's and VCU, that's going to be just a drag of a game. St. Mary's is kind of a darling, coming in. They're being picked at 65%, given almost a 70% chance to win. That one's a toss-up to me. I really do think VCU has a chance. If Ace Baldwin gets hot, they could definitely knock off St. Mary's, but very much a toss-up there. I can see that being a 5-12 upset. I'm going to go ahead with St. Mary's, though, here. UConn and Iona. UConn is being picked a little more than what KenPom gives them a chance to win at 86% is what they're being picked versus their 80% chance to win per KenPom. I still like them here. I think they can take care of business. Now, the TCU one, I want to also check on this one. ASU Nevada is going to be an absolute, I think, a stunner tomorrow night. I think it comes down to the wire. You have Desmond Cambridge revenge against Nevada. I have to watch that game. Not that I think it's going to be like some super, super up and down game or something, but I think it has the potential to be a very, very good, pretty much the only one out of the first four that I'm really interested in watching. And the winner there gets a team that is pretty much just in flux right now. TCU, Eddie Lampkin transferred into the transfer portal. They've had injuries this year to Mike Miles. Um, I don't know what we're going to get out of this team. It could go a lot of different ways. I lean towards whoever wins that one, and 84% chance are picking 84% are picking TCU. I'm telling you right now, that's going to be one of the biggest leverage opportunities. So just picking these two 11 seeds to win that round one game, I think is going to be massive leverage. Well, I'll, of course, again, try to get this in the betting sheet. And we'll see once these teams are for sure locked in as to who will get those, what those leverage numbers will be. Grand Canyon and Gonzaga. This is one that I'm looking at getting. Oops. This is one that I'm looking at getting on the spread of Grand Canyon. I don't really like Gonzaga here. Of course, they have Drew Timme. They're being picked at 93%. I don't think they get knocked off, but I think it's closer than what the spread indicates. KenPom has it at a 13-point difference. I think the spread is actually 15 and a half. Yep, 15 and a half. So KenPom has it at a 2-point value there on the spread. So that's probably one I'm going to hop on. I might sprinkle on the money line, but Gonzaga, for straight up winning purposes, I do think they can pull this one off. And then they're going to get ASU or Nevada, and I don't think will lose to them. So as much as I think they get pushed against Grand Canyon, I think they even could get pushed in round two. I think they do survive them. We mentioned Boise State, Northwestern as being a leveraged opportunity with the Mountain West side again of Boise State. They have a solid backcourt, some guys that we've liked for years, but they're also going up against a very solid backcourt with Boo Buie. I think what are we going to see in this one? What type of Boise State team are we going to get? It's going to be interesting for sure. I think they could definitely pull it off. Audige is going to play a major role. We'll see what they can do. Northwestern was the side I was on initially, but if I can get the massive leverage with Boise State, give it to me. I think UCLA is playing great basketball right now. I have them going to the Elite Eight. We've seen Tiger Campbell step up from a scoring perspective for this team, so I'm going to be on them at least to the Elite Eight. Arkansas and Kansas, I think Arkansas can give Kansas a game if they're playing solid basketball. I don't, ultimately want to pick that. In this region, I actually have 1-4 being the Sweet 16, which, again, this is, probably not something you want to do if you're in these big fields. But if you go back up to I had NC State in the Elite Eight. That was quite an upset pick. Here I'm going to have UCLA going to the Final Four, knocking off Kansas in the Elite Eight. Over here, I think this one can go a number of directions in the East. Purdue, I'm not a big fan of, to be honest. Memphis and FAU, I think either one of those teams can give them a game. I think Oral Roberts can knock off Duke. I think Tennessee, depending on if they can get some scoring, can make a run. I think Providence could make a run. I could see Kansas State with Marquise Noel making a run. Michigan State, if they get the guard play going, I think they could also knock off Marquette, which is, again, that's being one that's being pushed up quite a bit. Wasn't really expecting that, but it is. But I like Purdue. I like the Memphis side, when I first started, but we got some massive leverage here. If you go back They were a 17% leverage. So give me FAU. I'm going to take the leverage there. A team that just came off of winning the big game against Houston. Kind of maybe even laying a dud here. I like Oral Roberts, and I think Tennessee. I'm on their spread here minus 10.5. So I think that they can definitely get it done. I think that is an interesting round 2 game if we get it. Oral Roberts and Tennessee. Everybody's going to say Tennessee defense is going to slow down this fast-paced Oral Roberts team. They're not going to be able to score. But I'm telling you what, if Tennessee goes cold and we get a hot Oral Roberts shooting night, they could definitely knock off this team. On the flip side of that, I really like Tennessee. I've liked them all year. I like the defense. They, of course, had the injury bug, towards the end of the year that kind of hurt them with Zakai Ziegler being out. And I think that really hurts this team. So I'm going to go with Purdue to hold on here. Oral Roberts to knock off Tennessee. Actually, you know what? Just going to look at a couple things. I'm actually going to go with FAU to knock off. So that's been a popular pick with Memphis. But what if I go FAU? I think that's going to give you some leverage. How many people are picking FAU to do that? Only under 5%, 4.9 are picking them to move on to the Sweet 16. Whereas if you go back to Memphis, 3 times the people are picking them to knock off the one there in Purdue. So that gives us some leverage. Of course, Oral Roberts gives us some leverage. How many people are picking them to go? Hardly nobody was even picking them to beat Duke. 7% are picking them to go to the Sweet 16. So you'd have a 9-12 FAU Oral Roberts matchup in this one. I like the leverage that you're getting there. And again, I think this one could just be the crazy region. Providence, Kentucky, I like Providence. I like Kansas State. I do think Montana State can keep it close, maybe even within the spread. Let me take a look at what that spread is versus what KenPom has. Why am I losing it? KenPom has K-State by 9. And that spread is 8.5. So, pretty much in line. Not sure that that's one I'm going to want to jump on, to be honest. Michigan State, I like them. I like Marquette to hold on there in round 1. I think Providence can give this team a push. Now, the one I want to talk about here, you're probably going to say, Dane, you're going a little nuts on the upsets in this region. But Providence, I think they've been playing great basketball, coming in hot. They knock off K-State here. Again, I think Michigan State can knock off Marquette. I talked about this a little bit earlier. I think it is being picked a little too much for me, so I might end up backing off of this in like a main bracket type thing in like the $100 pool on DK. They're being picked at 17%, highest of any 7 or 10 seed to knock off a 2 to move on to the Sweet 16. I think they can do it. I think they've got Tyson Walker. I think they've got A.J. Hoggard. If they come in playing hot, I think they can knock off Marquette. I don't think Marquette has necessarily, of course, they got Oso inside, but I don't think that they have the main guy inside that can really eat at this Michigan State team, which is how they're going to end up losing, which leads me to, if Providence matches up with Michigan State, give me Providence all day. I think that Ed Crosswell just absolutely bashes this Michigan State team inside. And then to go with that, I think they have the guards to at least match up with Tyson Walker and AJ Hoggard. So give me Providence, give me Oral Roberts. Oh my gosh, this is making me sick. But give me Providence to the Final Four. Bama, Providence. I think that would where that would end. Texas, Bama is one that I like. It looks like a college football championship game. And give me Texas. I like Texas here to win it all. They're kind of the team that I'm getting behind. They're playing great basketball right now. They've seen an emergence of Dylan DeSue lately. They've seen a resurgence of Hunter. Looks more like his Iowa State type when he was there. So give me Texas to win it all. So let me know if you guys have any quick questions. I'm going to hop off here. Went a little longer than I was expecting. I'm going to do a DFS preview for Thursday sometime tomorrow. It might be late again, but we'll see what I can figure out as far as timing wise. Really excited for Thursday from a DFS perspective as well. So be sure to join into that. If you have any questions in Discord, hit me up. I'm going to get that leverage info added to the betting sheet likely tomorrow by midday. So be sure to check that out as well. And I'll be updating that all the way through Thursday morning. So good luck to everybody. If you have any questions on any other contest you're in, feel free to reach out in the Discord. We'll talk to you later.